Welcome to the Deep Dive. This is the show where we take a whole stack of sources, articles, research notes, and really boil them down to give you the essential insights, a shortcut to being genuinely well-informed.
And today, we're diving deep, really deep, into something fundamental, the values that drive ethical behavior and effective governance.
Exactly. We're unpacking a set of insights originally put together as a masterclass on ethics, actually, for public servants. We'll be looking at concepts like interdependence, justice, prudence, things that sound maybe a bit abstract.
But they're not just academic ideas. We'll show how they're actually powerful tools shaping our lives, organizations, even global politics.
And we'll connect these big ideas to current events, real dilemmas, so you can see exactly how they apply. Expect some, aha moments.
Because you'll see just how interconnected these values really are, and hopefully get a fresh perspective on the complex world around us.
All right, let's dive in. First up, interdependence. It really feels like the fabric connecting everything, doesn't it?
It absolutely is. At its heart, it's about mutual reliance, depending on each other to achieve common goals.
But it's not just total dependence, right? There's a nuance there.
Precisely. It's about finding that balance, knowing when to rely on others and when, autonomy is needed. Strategic reciprocity, you could call it.
Okay. And this isn't just a nice idea. It's like the operating system for success.
You could say that. Think individually or organizationally. It fosters collegiality, teamwork, positive relationships, like a cricket team, maybe.
Yeah, good example. It's not just about individual score.
Right. All 11 players rely on each other for that common goal, victory.
And then you scale that up societally, globally.
And the concept just expands massively. You see it in ancient ideas like Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, the world is one family.
That's the Indian concept.
Yes, and in Sufi thought, the oneness of being. Even the Dalai Lama talks about living in an interdependent society.
And Einstein, too. Didn't he say something about thinking we can survive alone being a delusion?
He did. A delusion and prison, he called it. It's so relevant for understanding diversity, religious, cultural, linguistic. Our fates are intertwined.
Which also helps make sense of global challenges. Wars, refugee crises, terrorism.
Exactly. They ripple outwards because we are interconnected. One world, one family, truly.
So in public service, where's the biggest friction point for interdependence? Where do things get stuck?
Well, delivering services effectively, it's rarely a one-person or even a one-department job.
Right.
Take education policy or disaster response, like those Uttarakhand fires. It wasn't just the NDRF, was it?
No, you had the SDRF, the Army, the Air Force, multiple units.
Precisely. Complex, interconnected. For policies to work holistically, you need everyone collaborating, breaking down those traditional barriers.
So silos.
Exactly, which is why the government's AIR on BH initiative is so important.
That's the Common Foundational Course for Civil Servants, IAS, IPS.
Yes, designed specifically to foster that inter-service collaboration right from the start, prevent working in isolation.
It's clearly a key value. Has the UPSC picked up on this?
Oh, definitely. They've asked about interdependence as a foundational value, wanting candidates to apply it across individual, family, organizational, societal levels. It's crucial.
And we see it playing out internationally, too, like that recent statement from China's ambassador.
Yes, highlighting the economic interdependence between India and China, despite political issues.
Advocating for more trade, that's interdependence shaping geopolitics, isn't it?
It really is.
Okay, so interdependence is vital. But the world's going digital fast. How is this digital shift impacting these foundational values for civil servants?
That's a great question. Digital governance isn't just about new tools. It demands an evolution in thinking, in values.
How so?
Well, digital services require innovation, right? To deliver integrated services to reach everyone, even the proverbial last man in the last row.
Okay, so innovation is key. But what's the friction?
The big challenge is balancing transparency with confidentiality. How do you maintain privacy when actions need to be open and data is flowing everywhere?
Yeah, that's a tricky balance, like walking a tightrope.
It really is. And the thinking is, the way to navigate this is by anchoring yourself in those core cardinal virtues.
Prudence, justice, temperance, fortitude. We'll get to those.
Exactly. The UPSC is focusing on this too. The 2024 exams had questions on ethics in tech, AI, e-governance. It's not just using tech, it's the ethics behind its use.
Right, which leads us directly to confidentiality. It's the bedrock of trust, surely.
Absolutely.
No.
Simply put, No unauthorized disclosure of information. Even if you have access, you don't share it improperly.
And it's tied closely to privacy and security.
Directly. It's a core professional value, especially for public servants holding citizen data. Without it, trust evaporates.
And breaches have serious consequences. I remember that case of the retired SP.
Arrested for violating the Official Secrets Act. Shows the obligation continues post-service.
And then there are more modern examples, influencers acting as spies.
Yes. Cases involving Pakistan, breaching military security, and just the general rule. Public servants cannot disclose citizens' personal data. It's a fundamental barrier.
This brings up a really interesting tension, though. The right to information, RTI versus confidentiality. It's been 20 years since RTI 2005, right?
Indeed, 2 decades.
Yeah.
And this is where things have gotten, well, quite complex recently.
How so?
The new Data Protection and Privacy Act, the DPDP Act, specifically Section 44, Subclause 3, it amended a key part of the RPI Act, Section 81J.
Okay, break that down. What did it change?
Well, previously, personal information could sometimes be disclosed under RTI if there was a larger public interest. It was discretionary.
Right.
Now, the amendment mandates that personal information will be denied, even if public interest is argued.
Wow. So transparency potentially takes a back seat to privacy.
That's the tension. It's a significant shift, a direct conflict between transparency and individual privacy that every public servant has to navigate carefully. It redefines the balance.
Okay, a major ethical tightrope there. So digital age values, confidentiality. But you also mentioned innovation, making governance responsive.
Yes, innovation is about finding those out-of-the-box, creative solutions for complex, evolving problems. Think climate change affecting farming or public distribution. Standard answers might not work.
It makes sense. Better solutions, more efficiency. But is there a downside in public service?
There's always a degree of risk with innovation, especially in a public setup. Accountability is huge.
And that creates resistance.
It can. You might find senior officials, maybe nearing retirement, hesitant to, rock the boat, fear repercussions if something goes wrong. Let sleeping dogs lie, perhaps.
A classic bureaucratic dilemma. How do you push through good ideas then?
It takes effort. Managing conflict, using emotional intelligence, appealing to reason, maybe even emotion. But here's the critical point.
Yes.
No matter how brilliant the innovation, it must stay within the rules and regulations. That's the non-negotiable boundary.
Laxman Rekha, as they say.
Exactly that. Cross that line, ignore procedures, and if things go pear-shaped, no one can back you up. Your department can't save you because official processes weren't followed.
So innovate, but within the lines. Are there good examples?
Well, plenty. DigiLocker's a great one. Homikal Pradesh going paperless.
Yeah.
And Agnicol's 3D printed cryogenic engine. That was something ISRO hadn't done yet in quite that way. Real breakthroughs.
It shows what's possible. And even areas like online gaming, the government's focus there, hackathons, PM's interactions, that suggests innovation is needed there too, right?
Absolutely. It signals that this new digital frontier, gaming, esports, whatever, it needs innovative thinking and an ethical framework. Addiction, data, fairness. These are big ethical questions in that space.
Fascinating. Okay, let's pivot to those cardinal virtues you mentioned, these ancient ideas. Prudence, justice, fortitude, temperance. How are they still relevant guides today?
They are incredibly relevant, timeless, really, discussed by thinkers from Aquinas to Aristotle to Plato. Let's start with prudence.
Which is like wisdom or right reason.
Exactly. Careful, wise, evidence-based decisions. Analyzing pros and cons, risks and benefits. Knowing right from wrong, ethical from unethical, means versus ends.
So it's about really thinking things through, that application of mind civil servants need.
Precisely. There's a technical term, recta ratio as willum.
Okay.
It just means right reason put into practice. Not just understanding a problem, but suggesting good solutions and, crucially, implementing them. Maybe running pilot projects first.
So prudence helps you check if an order from a senior is even ethical or legal in the first place.
That's a perfect application. Using wisdom before acting.
All right. Next, justice.
Justice has 2 main flavors.
Yeah.
The positive, giving someone their rightful due, and the negative, bringing someone to justice, meaning punishment.
And this connects to the rule of law,
Absolutely. Rule of law means the same law applies equally to everyone. The opposite is law of rule.
where connections or status dictate how the law is applied, like that Poon-Porsche case highlighted.
Exactly. Justice demands fair, impartial application of the law. No exceptions based on who you know.
Are there different kinds of justice we should know?
Yes, various forms. Restorative, retributive, distributive, substantive, procedural. And increasingly important, environmental justice.
Environmental justice, like
Yeah.
protecting nature.
Yes. A good example is that IFS officer Varun Jain reclaiming encroached forest land. That serves climate justice, protecting resources for everyone, now and in the future.
Got it. Okay, third virtue, fortitude, courage.
Courage, yes, but specifically in the face of adversity or pressure. It helps you stick to your principles, overcome fear.
But isn't standing up, especially to a corrupt senior, potentially career suicide in a hierarchy? How do you balance fortitude with, well, survival?
That's the crucial point. Fortitude isn't foolishness or recklessness. Aristotle, Buddhist thought, they talk about a middle path. Fortitude with reason.
So if you face corruption,
It's not just about saying no. It might mean finding strategic ways within the rules to ensure the wrongdoing is stopped or reported without just confronting blindly. It's about endurance and integrity. UPSC has even asked about strength and faith in this context.
makes sense. Courage tempered with wisdom. And the last one, temperance.
Temperance is self-control, restraint over desires, impulses, even your words.
How does that help?
It's a powerful counter to greed and corruption. It helps you stick to the golden mean, that balanced path. It ensures you make ethical decisions, not driven by emotional reactions or uncontrolled wants.
Well, avoiding kickbacks in contracts because you've got your desires in check.
Precisely. It keeps the process clean and fair.
Okay, so we have these 4 virtues. How do they help us analyze real-world issues? Let's take nuclear threats, especially with the 80th anniversary of Hiroshima and Nagasaki coming up this August.
Right. A sobering thought. All 4 virtues apply directly. Prudence demands recognizing the reality of mutual assured destruction, the ultimate negative consequence.
You okay? Justice.
Justice raises questions about targeting non-combatants, the impact on future generations, the proportionality of using such force. Is it ever just?
Fortitude.
It means having the courage to act, but reasonably. Not escalating recklessly, but also not being paralyzed by fear. Finding that reasoned courage.
And temperance.
Crucial. Self-restraint, controlling the triggers, the desires for overwhelming force, the impulse to react disproportionately.
Makes sense. How about counterterrorism?
Similar application. Prudence. Carefully distinguishing civilians from terrorists, minimizing collateral damage.
Justice.
For the victims, yes, but also ensuring fair process for perpetrators.
Yeah.
Bringing them to justice, not just revenge.
Fortitude and temperance.
Fortitude provides the courage to act in dangerous situations, but reasonably. Temperance means self-restraint in operations, knowing when the objective is met, when to cease fire, ensuring actions remain proportional.
Let's bring it down to a local level. Say a stampede situation like that unfortunate RCB event crowd issue. An officer, SP or DM, is right there in the chaos. How do these virtues help in the moment?
In that split second, it's almost intuitive. Prudence guides wise decisions on crowd control, medical aid. Justice demands fair treatment of everyone in the crowd, preventing panic from causing more harm.
Fortitude to act decisively.
Yes, courage in the face of chaos and potential danger. And temperance helps the officer maintain self-control, stay calm, use measured commands to de-escalate, not add to the panic. They become an immediate, practical guide.
That's powerful. It's not just theory. Okay, let's go beyond the basics. Are there other, maybe lesser-known values important for public service?
Absolutely. One I find fascinating is bureaucratic wisdom.
Now that sounds like it could mean getting bogged down in red tape.
But it's the opposite. True bureaucratic wisdom is knowing the system, the rules, laws, history, circulars so deeply that you can see beyond the literal text to the actual spirit or purpose.
So not just following rules blindly, but understanding why they exist.
Exactly. And then using that understanding to find creative, legal ways to serve the public interest, solve problems, improve the work culture. It counters the criticism that bureaucracy is just about rigid rule following.
Interesting. What else? Any insights from the Administrative Reforms Commission, ARC?
Yes, the ARC highlighted things like public servants providing informed direction, giving policies practical, social meaning, not just ticking boxes, giving them a human face.
Makes sense.
And promoting direct citizen input. This really connects to current pushes for e-governance, public feedback, what you might call active citizenship.
And a simple one.
Exemplary behavior. Just basic courtesy, politeness. Seems small, but it builds trust.
Now, what about the classic view of the bureaucrat from Max Weber? His idea was strict adherence to rules ensures objectivity, right? Keep personal morals out of it.
That was Weber's argument, yes. Procedures and the purpose of the office above all for accountability.
Well, what's the critique of that?
The critique is that rigid adherence can sometimes fail justice in real human situations. Remember the destitute lady case study, or the Hans dilemma. Sometimes rules need interpretation, discretion, compassion. You need a broader bureaucratic morality.
So rules are important, but not the only thing.
Exactly. Which brings us to things like the Civil Services Day speech and the 19 Commandments for civil servants.
What are the key takeaways there?
Values like fearlessness, adaptability, sensitivity, responsiveness come through strongly. But also unique points like the collective responsibility to improve work practices, promote social equity.
Anything else stand out?
Yes, the specific instruction to declare private interest to avoid conflicts. And the crucial point that loyalty is ultimately to the public interest, not just your department or boss.
Very important distinction. And finally, let's revisit that AIR MBH initiative. It emphasized 3 C's.
Yes, commitment, character, and conduct.
Okay, commitment, more than just doing your job.
Much more. It's dedication, loyalty to the public interest that might require personal sacrifice, long hours, tough decisions. It's about transforming promises into reality. Think of the commitment shown during the massive 2024 general elections.
Right, immense effort. Second C, character.
Character is your core essence. It's built, not inherited. It's the foundation for virtues like justice, prudence, temperance, fortitude. It ensures your actions align with public good. It determines if you'll stand firm in tough times.
And the third C, conduct.
Simply how you behave. Right? Conduct flows from good character and leads to rational, ethical decisions, self-controlled discipline. Poor conduct risks impulsive, unethical choices that damage public trust.
Okay, let's put this entire toolkit to work. Time for a case study. Navigating conflict of interest.
Let's set the scene. Imagine you are a senior officer in the finance ministry. You have confidential info about a policy affecting the housing industry.
Okay.
A builder, known for good work but also happens to be close to your immediate boss, asks you for this info. It could mean huge profits for him. And then your boss also tells you to disclose it.
Wow. Okay, that's a classic ethical nightmare. What are the dilemmas here?
You've got potential breach of confidentiality, obviously conflict of interest, definitely. Nepotism, favoritism are lurking. And the huge challenge of upholding integrity against an unethical order from your direct superior.
So how do our values help navigate this mess?
Let's apply the toolkit. Bureaucratic wisdom tells you to protect institutional trust over siding with your boss for convenience.
Right.
Weber's principles, ethically interpreted, demand merit-based, objective decisions following fair process, not insider dealing.
Commitment.
Commitment is to the public interest, ensuring a level playing field, a fair tender process, not manipulated outcomes.
And character and conduct.
Your character is tested. You need fortitude, justice, prudence, temperance. Your conduct must reflect ethical behavior, resisting the pressure.
Okay, so the values point the way, but what's the actual action plan? Because knowing isn't enough, you have to do.
Exactly. Execution is key. You have options. 1, disclose the info. Clearly unethical, illegal, don't do it.
Option 2.
Directly refuse the boss. Risky, could damage your career immediately.
Option 3.
Try to persuade the superior.
Yep.
Appeal to their reason, remind them of constitutional morality, organizational ethics, the risks involved.
So what's the best course? It sounds like a multi-step process is needed.
A robust, multi-layered approach is usually best. Start with persuasion. Reason with the boss. Invoke public interest, rules, ethics. Give them a chance to reconsider.
And if that fails?
Then a firm refusal. Clearly state you cannot comply with an unethical, illegal order. Document this if possible.
Don't just stop there.
No. Escalate through proper channels. Report the situation, calmly and factually, to your superior's boss. Follow the hierarchy.
And if even that doesn't work, if the system seems compromised?
Then, as a last resort, whistleblowing. Report the matter to the competent external authority, like the Central Vigilance Commission, CVC.
Importantly, not leaking to the media first.
Correct. Go through official channels like the CBC to ensure a proper investigation and uphold your integrity within the system, if possible. Expose the nexus responsibly.
And it's not just what you do, but how you explain it.
Absolutely. When explaining your actions, say in an inquiry or even a case study answer, you need to show how each step prevents recurrence, how it upholds constitutional ideals, preamble, DPSP, duties, morality, and those core values like bureaucratic wisdom and the cardinal virtues. It shows practical, deep ethical commitment.
That really ties it together. Let's solidify this with the constitutional values themselves, the bedrock.
Yes, the Constitution provides the ultimate ethical framework. The preamble itself, justice, socioeconomic, political, liberty, thought, expression, faith, equality, status, opportunity. Fraternity, you can use these principles to frame ethical arguments and solutions.
And the directive principles of state policy, DPSP.
They offer guidance on social justice, Articles 38, 39, welfare for vulnerable groups, Article 46, maybe for transgender persons, even property rights issues, Articles 39B, 39C, relevant recently. They are the state's ethical compass.
Fundamental duties, too.
Directly guide conduct. Abiding by the Constitution, promoting harmony, developing scientific temper, these are duties for every citizen, especially public servants.
And overarching all this is constitutional morality.
Think of it as applying all these constitutional values in both letter and spirit. It's the practical, living application, hugely useful for daily decision-making, providing that higher moral compass beyond just the black letter of the law.
We've covered a lot of ground. You've just completed a really insightful deep dive into these foundational values.
We journeyed from interdependence to the cardinal virtues, touched on bureaucratic wisdom, and saw how the Constitution itself guides ethical action.
And hopefully, you see, this isn't just theory. It's a practical toolkit for navigating the ethical dilemmas we all face, especially in public life.
Understanding these values gives you, the listener, a unique lens to analyze situations, make better decisions, and contribute to a more just, effective society.
Which leaves us with a final thought to mull over. As information flows faster and faster, how do we, as a society, strike that right balance between the demand for transparency and the critical need for confidentiality, ensuring justice for everyone?
It's a crucial question for our times. Thank you for diving deep with us today.
Join us next time as we explore another fascinating topic: emotional intelligence and the transformative Goleman model.